the next day, next video. Show you how the primer looks the next day after. Overall, it don't look too bad. There's a couple spots that ain't gone over, but it'll be good for now. I think what we're gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to roll forward in the Mustang enough to where I can get the Camaro started and get it out through the yard. The main thing is this thing leaks a lot of transmission fluid. I think it leaks oil too. So we'll try to get it going. It's not been started in a few months. That's why I say try to get it going. But I guess I'll just try to roll forward as far down the driveway as I can, and then try to take the Camaro out that way and then pull it over to this spot over here and let it sit there. That way I can put this in the middle, put it up on ramps and jack stands and everything, and be able to get under it whenever the gas tank comes in. I also picked up some vinyl cleaner. We'll test it on this seat that's messed up first before we try to do it on the ones that are in good shape. Just see how it works, see if it messes anything up. But as you can see, the cat's already been climbing all over this thing, so I'll get everything out of the way, get this rolled forward, and see if we can get this going. There is oil in it, transmission fluid in it, there's coolant in the radiator, there's not any fuel up to the filter yet, so set the choke on, crank it, try to get some fuel to pull up. Okay, see if it's started pulling anything up yet. Okay, it started to pull some fuel up, you can see it. Just go crank it a little bit more. I gotta be careful with this one because it's very easy to flood it out, which will make it harder to start. It's gonna give me trouble starting. Okay, it's coming to life a little bit. It wants to do it. She's not happy. Oh, it's been quite some time since it's been started. Make sure it's building oil pressure. It's just about 50. I'll let it sit here and warm up for a second since it's been a while since it ran. This is my wife's car. She got it from her parents. It's a built 350 engine. Got a mild cam in it, roller rocker, headers, all kinds of, you know, drag race type stuff. It's in decent shape body wise. I've also put a new fuel tank and everything on this one. I put a new exhaust on it. I put 2 Flowmaster Super 10s on it. They're a good bit loud, but it also sounds good when sitting here idling. So we'll let this thing warm up. I'll back it up and then I'll pull it over there. That way it's out of the way, and then I'll clean the shop up a bit. And then I might have to get some help to push that thing back up to here. We'll just have to see. I've got the car out and driving. Just kind of cruising it around, letting it, you know, heat up and everything. I don't like letting it sit for so long, but it leaks so much oil and transmission fluid that it's kind of not worth it to drive it. But I bought a little bit so I can throw in here, get it moving around a little bit, let it kind of cycle everything. The wife was wanting to drive it again, so getting it kind of warmed up and everything. Making sure everything's all good. She's not going to have any issue out of it. Hopefully I don't pass any cops, because I don't have the correct sticker on the tag right now, and I'm also holding a phone up in the windshield. Done one loop of the neighborhood. We'll do another one right quick. Just make sure she had enough time to lube everything up in the engine good, because it's been 3 or 4 months or something. I don't really know the exact time. I don't even know as to where you can hear me or not over the exhaust. This hill going back into the neighborhood. She definitely needs some shocks on her, but as far as the most part goes, running pretty good for not running for so long. I have no idea how much fuel it is, no idea what temperature we are. But this thing's got a full shroud on it and everything, and it's using up antifreeze because it's a little bit low in the radiator, but it's not leaking it, so probably take this thing back, park it, let it cool off a bit, wash it up and everything, see if it starts up again easy. This car is almost complete. I've been working on it on the channel before. It's needs the instrument cluster put back in it, because more than half the gauges didn't work. So that needs repaired. see these puddles is from it puking everything out of it, but she's running. She takes power, pulls straight up the hill. So it's as good as what it was a few months ago. So I guess it's drivable. I just don't like driving stuff when it leaks that much, because it could make it to work and not have any fluid with you, and then on your whole way home from work, you're driving it without any fluid in it. It's just going to cause damage. But they don't really have the funds to put it in a transmission shop, and I know nothing about transmissions, so I'm not going to try to fix it. Okay, I have most of the floor swept. I gotta pick up some of the garbage here and rearrange a bunch of stuff, get the pressure washer out the way, get this stuff put over here out of the way, and then I guess I could install that light up here before I put the car here. I think it's a smart thing to do. And then I can see about getting the car put in here, putting it up on ramps. Got some jack stands down there, put them in the rear. I like everything easier to access. So I'll get all this crap picked up. I'll go get a ladder. See about taking that apart. Didn't have a ladder, so I just back the truck up in here. That way I can just stand in it and undo this light and everything. Here's the light that I'm gonna be putting in. So that should give me a whole lot better of a light source for working in here. So we'll cut the breaker off for it, get some tools and everything, pull that apart and see what all I need. Pull the bulbs out of the socket. I have this bolt going up to the center. And then you can see all the wiring. All this wiring is janky, and I don't want to tear into it. So I believe what I'm gonna do is just cut these down here. And then when I gotta hook that up, I'll hook that up to these, and I'll leave all this mess alone. That way I don't have to worry about tearing in all that. It'd be much simpler to do it here. Okay, so I have the panel open right there, and on the other side, there's 1/4" screws that hold that onto that. Now all this is connected, and I don't want to unconnect it, and I don't have no one to help me. So let me see if I can pop these bulbs out so the panel will be lighter, and I'm going to try to shove those wires through this hole and then make my connections on the inside. That way I can go ahead and mount that plate up to there. I got a beam that runs along this way. Can't decide whether I want to do the light going that way or if I want to do it going that way. Because either way I know I can get at least 2 screws in the stud going this way, or I can do 2 screws in the stud going that way, based off where that is. I'm kind of inclined to go long ways, that way it's shining on both sides. But also if I go this way, it's shine to both sides. we'll see here in a minute. I'm not gonna be able to record me putting that up there and everything, but you have a white, black, and a green. So black's your hot, white's your neutral, green's your bond. Up there, you got what fed the socket was the 2 blacks, which will be your hots. 2 whites will be your neutrals. And then up in there somewhere, they got the bonds tucked away, so we'll see if I bond it or not. If you can, I would definitely bond it, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll try to get a bond in there. I definitely would not recommend doing this by yourself. It's gonna be off kilter because this side's catching into a stud and this side's catching into a stud. Those sides are just catching into this board, but they won't just fall out because once they hit to this point, it's kind of got threads in it, so it'll kind of hold it. But this has got like a bunch of weight on it since it's just hanging down. Once I get it put back up in there, I gotta cut these 2 and connect them here with a wire nut and put this back up in there. Put my bulbs in there, see if it works. Should work. Since I didn't mess with none of that up there, I'm just literally connecting 2 sets together. So I'll do that real quick. Then just shove it back in there, put the lights in there, see if it comes on. Okay, got it up there, got that put back in. They have these little tips on them. They go in place on one side, and then you put the screw in each corner. These bulbs, the way they work is I got these nipples on the end of it. You take one end. Give me just a second. I gotta get it lined up and then I'll turn the camera. Alright, you line it in here. And you take your nipples down here, line them in, and then you simply rotate it. It'll click and it'll make it to where it's a solid piece there, and these things are turned sideways. So the nipples just slide in here, and then you rotate it and it blocks it off so they don't fall back in. So I'll do these last 2. Go turn the breaker on, see if they work. It's up there. Breaker's on. Okay. I have 2 bulbs that aren't working, but it's on. So I'll double check them bulbs to make sure they're secure in there. The bulbs could just be bad. This is just a old shop light my boss had as extra, so if I have to buy 2 bulbs, then, or bars or whatever you want to call them, then that's fine. But it's on, it's working. Alright, off camera I hopped up there, I double checked them. They're a little bit loose, so that's done. Seems to be working. We'll see how bright it is tonight. I'll get all this pulled out of here. My grandpa's on his way to help me push this back into the carport, and then we'll put it up on ramps, jack stands, all that. Be good to go for whenever the tank comes in. We can run new fuel lines and all that good stuff, so it's pretty sweet. It's gonna do a lot better than what it was. I can already kinda tell the difference. Just, you can't really see it on camera, but I can see it in person. So it's pretty easy upgrade. Like I said, my boss gave it to me, so thanks to him for that. It was a free upgrade for me, and it'll improve the value of the house if we ever go to sell it or whatever. Camaro's out there. We got the car in here. Put it up on jacks and ramps and all that crap. I'm thinking about leaving this side unpainted, unprimered.
Oh, really?
I like the way that looks. But I might do it all. I don't know.
Oh, get my Puddin's Fab Shop shirt in the background.
Let me get out of the way. I won't go.
We should have plenty of room to get under it now once we get it lifted up and everything. So I'll pick it up once all that's done. We've got everything up on rams and jack stands and all that. And you can see there's where some of the frame damage is. So it'll have to be welded and everything. I'm gonna see what comes out of the wool. Slap some new filters in and stuff. You can see a bunch of the stuff's old and gunked up. I can get a whole new front end kit for like $300, so I think I'm gonna do that. Replace everything. To change your oil, you just take these out. It'll drain out. And you reach up there, get your filter, take your filter out. And then once it stops leaking, you put a little oil around the gasket, put your filter back on, put your bolt back in, go up to the top and fill it up. I'm gonna go ahead and change it because I don't know how old it is. It's pretty black. So it's probably been in there for a little while. So might as well put fresh in it. That way I know it's new. Here's what my wool looks like. I used a paint pan to catch it at first, and then I switched the bucket under it because I couldn't put the bucket under it and turn the wrench. So I used this to catch it at first and then quickly swapped it. You can see it's dripping out a little bit. So I'll probably put this under the filter, pull the filter off, let the filter drain into that. And then slap a new one in it, slap new oil in it. Okay, we're getting back under here. Your oil filter, most of the time, is going to be on the side of the block. Depending on your vehicle, it'll be different. Could be on the front, could be on the back, could be midway, it could be on either side. Well, I don't really know about either side. I think it's normally driver's side, but it just depends on your vehicle. But you should be able to find it. It's a little container. Now, these things sometimes takes a filter wrench to get it off. Luckily, I got this one to break loose. But one thing you have to do is play catch the oil as it hits everything and splashes around. So be prepared for that. And you got it, once you get it loose here, you want to try to turn it upright as quick as possible, because it will be full of oil. And then catch what drains out. Dump the rest of it down in here. Now, that's out. I'll leave this pan here just for what's dripping still. Take your replacement filter and try to wipe your hand off if you can, because here in a minute you're going to need your grip. So you take your other one. Hopefully the guy gave me the right one. This one's about twice as long. I don't know if it's going to make a difference or not. You want to dip your finger in the oil and get this gasket nice and oiled up before you try to install it. So I'm going to do that real quick. I need both hands, and then I'll put it back up in there. Once you have it nice and oiled up, everything, clean your hands off a little bit. Reach around it in here. Be very careful when you're doing this. You do not want to force this thing on there. You want to twist it around until it finds its happy spot, because you do not want to cross thread this. It is a major problem if you do. In fact, I don't even know for sure whether it's something that's fixable without spending way too much money. But I don't know either, because I've never messed one up personally. So, very important when you're doing this. Just because you take a wrench to turn it off doesn't mean you need a wrench to put it back on. Okay? People say different things. People say half a turn with a wrench. I've always just got it as tight as I can with my hand. And if your hand's slipping because of the oil, take you an old rag, reach up in there, get around it, turn it. I've always just heard hand tight. Every vehicle I've ever changed the oil in, I just did this. Because once it heats up and everything, it'll get tighter. What you don't want to deal with is it's super hard to get off oil filter. I've had them before to where people think they have to tighten it down as tight as they possibly can, and I had to stab a screwdriver through it to be able to get it off. But as you can see, it's right there. That's in. Now we put that bolt back in the bottom. That you tighten it with a wrench, but you don't want to super tight. You want to get it in there, get it to where it starts to feel tight, and then just snug it down. Don't want to put a whole lot of pressure in it because you can strip your threads out. And then what you can do afterwards is, once you get it running again, well, after you put that bolt in, you fill it back up with oil, and then you get it running, and then you sit there and you watch it. You check for leaks. Once you get under here, it's still going to be dripping, so kind of keep your bucket close. You can get your bolt started. Now this one, I think my papa said he thinks the reason this one looks weird, as far as having this and this, is because somebody probably stripped it, and this big bolt is for cutting new threads. But I've got that in there, that's finger tight. I can move this bucket, wipe away this hole so it stops leaking. Alright. And then I just take my wrench and snug that up. You don't need to put all your force on it, just snug it up. If you put all your force on it, you're gonna fuck it up. So just tighten it up, get it good and snug to where you can tell there's force on it, but don't put all your strength into it. It's unnecessary. When you have it in there, make sure you wipe any excess oil off. As you can see here, I've got oil on my hands and I'm using one arm. I've already got it snugged down, so it's not moving more than that with what I can do with one arm. So it's good. You don't want to do two arms or none of that. Just what you can get out of one arm will be plenty enough. You wipe everything down here. That way when you put the new oil in, you can tell if it's leaking out or not. And spots like this, you want to try to get all the excess off. That way when you're checking for leaks, it's not just some of the excess oil from when you just drained it. check with your local parts store as far as what oil to use. Like for me, it still has this sticker here. And did if I can get this out of the way enough. 10W30 grade oil. 10W30. Things I've looked at said this motor calls for 4.5 quarts. I've got 5 quarts here. So we'll slap some in here. And then I'll be sure to keep this handy and double check it whenever we got everything hooked back up, got it down on the ground, and go to start it and all that. But I'm gonna put most of this in here because I know it takes 4.5. And now I got 5, so I'm gonna not use all of it. Also, you can look here on a lot of these. It shows you where the quarts are. That's one way you can double check too. So I'll do that real quick. Then maybe we sand some more. Maybe we do the interior. That may be what I do. I may try to clean up this seat. Since this one's cracked, I'll use it as the tester instead of doing the pristine ones. Okay, I have oil in it. If you don't know where to put your oil, just look on your engine. There should be a little cap that said oil, and it should say what type of oil, but I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. So I've got about 1/4 or 3/4 of a quart left, which would be 4 1/4 quarts. Right? Yeah. 4 1/4 quarts. Say that 5 times fast. But this thing calls for 4.5. I'll put 4 1/4 in it. I'll just remember to check it whenever I set it down level, start it, let it get into that filter and everything. But we'll do that once the fuel line's in and all that. It'll be a little bit before we start this thing again because, as you can see, there is, in fact, subframe damage that will need repaired before I trust to drive it down the road. Somebody's tried to repair that side. And then same thing in the back over here. There's a little bit. I'd like to have that fixed and welded up right and everything. So before we worry about actually putting fuel in the car and all that, we'll run the lines and put the tank on and all that. But before we decide to do everything, we'll get this all fixed before we put fuel in it and try to start it. Because fuel and welding, or fuel and spark, does not go together. Everybody should know that, but I feel the need to say it. So, should be good on oil change now. It's untelling how old the oil is, really. I mean, it's probably fine. It's still oil. It's not got any antifreeze or any gas in it. It's just really dark, so it's untelling how long it's been there. So it's best just to go ahead and change it because, well, hell, you change it now, you can keep up with your miles, you can keep up with when your oil changes are going to be. But if you didn't, you wouldn't know how long it's been. So it's always a good thing to do. I think take a break here for a second and then get myself cleaned up and everything, and then try cleaning up this interior or something. Well, Trout Mothersville, or says it's for vinyl leather and everything. It's supposed to clean, condition, and protect. We're going to use it on this chair that's got the damage to it, just in case it does mess it up. I don't know how much to put on here or how long to let it sit. I've never used this stuff. I've never heard of it. I'll try to get everything good and wet. If it works good, I'll be able to clean up that one pretty good. So, I'll let that set for a second and then wipe it down with something. My belt loop is caught on the door some way or another. There we go. It's clip right here. Caught in my belt loop. Alright. Let that set for a second. And then I'll use one of my shop rags to wipe it off. I'll try to use a clean spot if I can find one. I ran out of shop rags, so I'll try to just use it right there. Alright, it's been a few seconds. We'll start with this bottom side. I know a lot of this probably isn't gonna come out or clean up because it's not really dirt. It's more of this wear in the seat on this side. See if any of that comes out. It is making a slight difference. It's nothing amazing or anything. It's cleaning up some. Let's see, some of this stuff that got off there. Let me try to find something. There you go. Here's an old work shirt I ruined. I'll use it. As you can see, there's a bunch of dirt crap here. I gotta be careful going over this spot and pull all that off. I mean, it's kind of cleaning it. It's nothing super impressive. It doesn't look like it's hurting anything, but it doesn't really seem like it's doing much or nothing either. This will be a test right there. That black spot. I mean, kinda. I guess it just depends on how much is just dirt and how much is stain. I mean, it didn't hurt nothing. I don't really see any improvement in it either. Okay. I guess we'll just go try the back side of that. Only if it messes anything up, it's just on the back side. Alright. This seems like it's mainly dirt, so it might have a chance of actually cleaning up better. I'll spray it on there, let it sit. See how it comes out. It'd be nice to be able to save these seats. Not have to have all of them reupholstered. But where the sun beats in on them, it's really bad for them. It starts to crack and everything. As you can see on the back one too, it's pretty decent shape, not too dirty. This one's the dirtiest one. And I don't know how much is stained on there, so let that soak in, come back, wipe it down, see if it helps any. Now I can see this side too. Spray a little bit on it. Alright, I'll be back after a few minutes of that soaking. I've waited about 30 seconds, 20 seconds, something. Okay, this side is actually taking off some of this, so I'll wipe this area. That side's cleaning up really good, so maybe that side's just super stained and this one's just super dirty. Okay, that side's cleaned up a lot better. To come out. Just getting it to clean out some about all these springs. See if I can get them to not be so noisy. Right now, I'll spray the front of this and see what it does. Got some stains. It's unfortunate there's a bunch of stains, but I mean, overall, that seat's in good condition. I may try and do the back as well while I'm at it. Might as well. I ain't got much else to do. I could be sanding and stuff, but I'm almost out of primer. So we'll do that back seat. Then maybe knock this out. I should have enough primer to do it. I'll just do a quick before and after shot on this. I may just spray some on here, on these sides here, and try to clean them a little bit too. But here's before. Here's the seat. Unfortunately, it's got a good bit of stains in it too, but overall, it looks really good. There's that. I didn't know if I caught how dirty this was, but look how clean that came out. That came out really clean. I'm very pleased with that. Also got the other little crank handle for that, and I've got this one just sitting on here. Let's see if that's a screw-in type or not, and screw it in. I haven't messed with it much. I just put that on there to get the window up. I'll come over here, try to get this side. I haven't got this seat to lean up yet, so it's gonna be a little more difficult. It's got most of it out. I can still work on that a little bit. Once I get this seat fixed, and I can actually get in there. But we'll see if we can get that handle to screw in. I've got another one for this side. Then might start on this. What you can see here when I hold the light up is this is not the screw-in type. This crank is, but there's not a thread in there to receive it, so I'll just set them on there for now, and if anyone's ever back here, or if I ever need to roll it down, I can still get it to catch the threads enough having it actually on there, so that'll work fine as long as you're careful. Don't put a lot of pressure on it because you might strip it, but it should hold for now. Other little quick thing I'm gonna do is that handle's on, that one's on. They're just sitting on there on the swans. I'm gonna try and grease up everything in this door. So maybe it won't squeak as bad every time I gotta open it. This may or may not fix it, but it's worth trying. Let that set for a little bit, because I can hear it pop, but that'll just help it overall. Get everything lubed up. Do the same thing on this side. Basically all these little moving parts. I need to shut that one a little harder to get it to shut, but that should be beneficial. So we'll get this area ready to sand and primer and everything, and that'll be what we're doing. And probably after that, that'll be the end of the video, because I don't really have much left to do. Because I could sand the whole car and all that, and do a video on it, but I don't have enough primer, so there's no point in sanding it yet. There's a little better view of how that light's doing. It's actually lighting up pretty well. But I've already seen this process twice now on the past 2 videos. Just gonna run over it with 320, see how it looks. So do that real quick. Next clip will be how it looks after that, and Maybe I'll run up through here, go ahead and get all that. Try to not get this window with any overspray. In case you're curious, I'm putting this sheet over it, over what I've already had primered. It'll keep some of that dust from laying on top of that primer and then making it look like it's dirty when really it's just the dust settling in. I had that problem on my F100 where I'd done it in sections, and when I went and primered somewhere else, all the primer dust flew all over it, so it was kind of like darker and crappy looking. So I'm gonna try and avoid that. You can see what I'm talking about here, where some has already got on it. Worst case, I'll resand it or wet sand it or something, but I'll just try to cover most of it. But here we go, doing that. Pick it back up after. I have this done. Went up around through here. Decided while I'm around this area, I might as well go ahead and make me a gap across through there. That way I can just try to get everything around this window and not have to worry about it. Got through over to this side. I'm gonna kind of cut it off right here. And come up through here and shoot across it. And the rest of it I can do later on. I'll try to get something rigged up to have that window covered. And we'll shoot some primer on it. Went ahead and sprayed. It's got some junk in it that can come out with some wet sanding. I've managed to do a pretty good job as far as not getting it directly on the window. There may be some overspray. Just used a piece of cardboard and hoped for the best. Got some crap that's fallen into it, but once it's all dried up and everything, I can come back over it later and hit it with a little bit of wet sand and then go back over it with another coat at another time. The best time would have been when I was having this window pulled out to replace the sill, but I'm bored and want to work on my car, so I went ahead and did it, and it's not too bad. See what I'm talking about with the different colors? That's the new paint. That's where the sand dust got all over it, and it cleans out some, but still kind of leaves a film of it on there. It'll all be one color. It'll have shit in it, but it won't look as bad as this crap right here. So that's gonna be the end of the video, I guess, because I'm out of primer, I'm out of parts. Ain't really much left to do, so let's see y'all in the next video. Just a little bonus clip here. Took the Camaro around the neighborhood again, and then I pressure washed it off. So we got it cleaned up a little bit. This thing's got stains and stuff, but still cleans up pretty decent.